Well, it looks like my prediction of the SPY, the overall market going to the moon into the end of 2021, is coming to fruition. Talking about what is going on with the overall market right now, just going insane. It's absolutely going insane. Breaking it down right here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Man, what an exciting time to be alive. Cryptocurrency's going to the moon. The stock market's going to the moon. Everything is just going to the moon. Pretty much you just buy something and it just goes up in value. Wow, it's amazing how that works. Well, today we're going to dive into the SPY chart and talk about kind of what's going on here with the move, and how we recently talked about the SPY going to that $470, $480, $500 level. $500 obviously is very, very high up there, but it's almost doable at this point, the way that the SPY is moving and the way that the overall market just continues to go straight up. So looking at the chart here on the SPY right now, you can see my lines on the chart. We drew these lines a few weeks ago. I mean, we thought like this is pretty much my idea. I thought the SPY was going to kind of go up here. We're going to pull back. We're going to fill this little gap. We're going to ding, 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 ding. And then we're going to the moon. And I pretty much like had my prediction. The overall market just green, 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 a little bit of red, green, 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 a little bit of red, green, green, green again. Still pushing even after hours here. It's madness to say the least. It's a wild time to be alive. We pushed over the all-time high at that 450 area, 455 area. You can see I had a little bit of resistance kind of pushing up into there, a little bit of pullback, but look how beautiful that pullback basically just pulled back and bounced right off of that previous resistance here, and then has went to the moon. And again, like I talked about this in the other video when we started talking about this idea of the SPY, of the overall market just going absolutely nuts as we get towards the end of the year here, the Santa Claus rally. We talked about, looking at the previous years, 2018, 2017, 2019, 2020, seeing very, very similar moves. And well, we are already forecasting this thing to go even higher from here. And the crazy thing about this is like we're already like at pretty much like 50% of the expected move here. And it's funny because now I'm like, well, maybe I was a little too realistic, only thinking that this is going to go to 470, 480 by the end of the year. And now, I mean, it's looking like 500 is very doable the way that this is going. I mean, it's just showing no actual pullback or any reason to pull back. Bouncing off this overall EMA there on the daily chart, just continuing to go higher. And like, look at this thing on a smaller time frame. Looking at the hourly chart, look at how strong this thing has been. Today, just basically, it was amazing. Today, we went sideways, stuck there at the 461 area, and then, rocket ship once again when the news came out there on the Fed and everything. So it's just amazing. It's honestly like we're at a point where I think we're going to just continue to go higher because of the FOMO. People are going to be just FOMOing into this like crazy, and it's going to create a very kind of insane move with the overall market. And these are basically, every stock out there. People are having FOMO, and then people race in. They want to buy. They push the price higher, and it just continues. Like the FOMO becomes more and more and more as people watch this move happen. And they're like, wow, I got to get in on it. I don't want to miss in on it. So I think a lot of this is really coming down to FOMO, and then also the scary idea of inflation also. That's one thing a lot of people don't think about, like with the overall stock market, why the stock market keeps going higher in terms of the actual like value that's there. When a stock goes from like $500 to $1,000, the reason that's happening, it's not always so much just about the value, but really so much more about like, where can I put my money at to get a return? Because if my money's just sitting in a bank and my bank account's not moving up and down, it's just sitting there, I'm basically losing money, right? Because of inflation. The inflation right now, I feel like inflation is off of the charts, even though the Fed and the government doesn't want to really address this, and they say that everything's okay, that they can continue to do what they keep doing, and they can just hold, and everything's party time and fun for everybody. But it's very interesting because inflation is obviously trickling into consumer goods, into the price of everything now, and you really have to ask yourself, like, is inflation under control as much as the Fed thinks it is? I just don't believe it is. And, looking at this chart now, looking at the SPY here on the 4-hour chart, it's just insane to think that this is literally like, multiple days of just going higher and riding that EMA so beautifully there, just continuing to ride that EMA. And then right under that, we've got, support as well. So we got multiple levels of support. We've got that previous high at the 455 area. I mean, I just think that there's no reason here. There's just no reason for the SPY to crash down from where it's at now to anything below 450 going into the end of the year. Obviously, this is not financial advice, and I can't promise you that the market won't go below 450 by the end of the year. But I'm thinking that if there is any type of pullback, 455 to 460 area will be a good place to buy as this thing continues to squeeze going into November, going into December, looking for that 470 to 480 area here on the SPY. And it's looking very, 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 very doable at this point, especially with all these overall, especially with all the news and all the hype coming out. You got the media talking about how the market's just super strong. You got all these top companies coming out with so much good news. It's almost getting to a point where euphoria is taking over and the FOMO is very, very real. So I'm very interested to see where we end up by the end of the year. Will that 470 to 480 area be the end, or do we just continue to keep going higher and higher and kind of push up to that $500 level on the SPY? That would be very, I think I would say that would be kind of dangerous at that point, because it's just creating so much FOMO, and everybody at that point is going to be just rushing in to buy. And it gets to a point where somebody's going to start selling, and then that sell-off could really get very, very drastic when you get something that's very, very overextended. When a stock or the overall market gets very, 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 very overextended, that's when those big sell-offs happen, those big drops. But it's so interesting to see how, going into September, October, November here, we had the pullback in September that was very much in line with the previous year trends and the movements. And now here we are, the market at an all-time high just once again today. It just won't stop. It just won't stop. I'm interested to know what you guys think down below. Leave a comment. What do you think the price of the SPY is going to be at the end of 2021? Will it break 500? Will it break 480? How high can it go? I'm just kind of interested to see what the overall majority of you guys think and believe. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe button. Let's go.